I am coming in, I'll tell you where I'm coming in from. I'm coming in from Berkeley, California, where it is early in the morning. So we always love knowing where folks are coming from. So feel free to drop that in the chat while we're waiting for people to come into the room. Hello, Michigan. Philadelphia. Other folks, feel free to tell us where you're dialing in from. Another Pennsylvania. Hello from France, Maine, Bucharest, where it is afternoon. Hello from Poland, Warsaw. Give folks just a minute more to continue coming into the room and then we'll get started. South Dakota. Eli's coming in from the west coast of Canada. Pennsylvania represents today. We have somebody from Pittsburgh on as well. Baltimore. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Keep telling us where you're coming in from. As I said at the very beginning, I'm Marnie Webb. I'm with TechSoup, and welcome to day 2 of TechSoup Talks. Like so many of us across civil society, my colleagues and I at TechSoup have been focusing on what's necessary for nonprofit organizations to be confident, secure, and resilient. We know how much pressure civil society organizations are under all over the world, that their digital threats are growing, that the pace of change is fast. And there's a real need for spaces where people can think together across sectors, roles, and geographies. And that's why we're hosting these TechSoup Talks. We wanted to bring together some of our colleagues from across the space to talk about 5 issues that are critical to us all: security, data governance, misinformation, counter narratives, and the increasing need for collaboration. Yesterday, we had started with 2 great talks that focused on digital security. We'll focus on the others over the course of this week. Today, we're turning our attention to data governance, and we're kicking off the day with Fabio Fraticelli. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Social Techno on TechSoup Italy. We've had the pleasure of partnering with Fabio for quite a few years now. And he specializes in managing the digital transformation process for the nonprofit sector. In that role, Fabio's worked with a wide range of organizations and has designed services and systems to support transformation for individual organizations at scale across the sector. He thinks and works a lot with data and data governance issues. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Fabio. Fabio, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Mari, and hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. So I will start with some reflections around the data governance, trying to positioning the issue, its importance, positioning the topic, and trying also to mix it with some direct personal experiences. Uh, if that's okay with you, I will like and prefer just to have a talk with you. So Marnie, feel free to jump in whenever you want. We often have productive conversations around this topic, so it would be great if we can just talk and exchange thoughts each other.
Awesome.
Super. So why I would like to start by sharing with you why this topic matters, why it's so important for nonprofits, actually not only for nonprofits, but especially for nonprofit organizations. In my opinion, data is, I will say, at the heart of coordination. Data is the place the place where organization can better understand what they do, how they do what they do, and most of all, why they do what they do. Um, Without data, you are just another person with an opinion. That's a very popular quote, as you know. And the more we move forward, the more we try to face the challenges that are in front of us, the more we understand how true is this sentence, this quote. Um, you understand that data matters when you are in an organization with poor data or without data, without quality and qualitative data. Because in these cases, the governance is kind of poor, let's say. There is a duplication of records across the organization. There is inconsistency across data within across data across the organization. There is an overall level of inefficiency within the organization. Uh, Data is not important by itself, maybe, but it's like a symptom that reflects the quality, the overall quality and capability of an organization of correctly addressing its processes. Data are also important because they can foster the capability of an organization of pushing and of representing the importance of his actions and of his goals. And these internal and external areas are the two places where having good data or poor data makes a difference. Um, Being capable of managed data and data governance is the first step to increase then clarity in the action and in the organization action and performances. Via good data, it's important, is possible for the organization to enable trust, to better manage its internal processes, to attract new volunteers or new supporters for the organization itself. So managing data nowadays is not just a trending topic, but is a matter of extremely important for the organization and super strategic, in my opinion. So we might ask, what is data governance? What do we mean by data governance? Well, in my opinion, managing and having a good data governance means having a clear framework about how we manage our data within our organization in a way that is reliable, consistent, secure. Yesterday in the opening session, we learned a lot about this, and useful. So these four aspects: reliability, consistency, security, having a data for a purpose, are four dimensions, four levels of data governance that cannot be not managed. And it's not just tech. It's not just about having a new software, a new tool, a new something cool that manages this for us. Of course, it's also a matter of technical aspects, but it's mostly about, in my opinion, people, roles, and rules about data management. So I would like to focus on this talk about these aspects: rules, roles, and people, and how these three elements can let us to build a system, a framework for data governance that let us to have reliable, consistent, secure, and useful data. Okay. In my previous experience and current experience, I was really lucky because I had the chance to work uh, side by side with a lot of non-profit organizations, super small, tiny organizations, and also more big and international organizations. And you know, my perspective is mostly European, I understand it, but I often saw, and I'm curious, Marnie, to hear from you too, but I see that what often is missing in organizations. So why organizations are struggling so much in handling a proper data governance are for sure resources, limited resources. I'm not talking only about money, but also about competencies, skills, okay, of people. A strong focus on action over structure. So the majority of nonprofit organizations are super focused in their mission, which is good, of course, and in acting, you know, in day by day, day to day operations. And this is super cool and it's understandable, but sometimes this negatively affects the capability of organizations to build systems and also systems related to data governance. Simple things like, basic guidelines about how to manage data or some simple but still super important behaviors that can improve the quality of the data that is managed within the organization. So this combo, limited resources and focus on action over structure, is can be super bad, you know, because it can negatively affect the capability of the organization to collect data, having good data, data that is consistent, reliable, as I said, and that can be used to improve the strategy, the actions, the operations of the organization. Okay. I see also ways to manage data, spreadsheets. Okay, let's call them spreadsheets. It's okay to have spreadsheets. Okay, we all know about that. But at the same time, when knowledge, so data, is stored within silos in the organization, it can be hard to look and find patterns to compare and to find trends, to compare phenomena across the organization, and to really deeply understand what is going on, how efficient we are in our programs, how good we are in creating effects with our programs. So having not formalized approaches to manage data, it's another element that together with lack of resources and focus on action over structure can negatively affect the data governance within organizations. There is then one more element that is often forgotten within organizations, that is pivotal in increasing the data governance, which is the ownership. I probably never met a person who's responsible for data governance within organizations. I met people that are caring for databases, for example, donors databases, or for some other databases within the organization. But it's extremely rare to meet people who are devoted exclusively to keeping and maintaining systems and frameworks, behaviors, guidelines, tools that let the organization to have good lakes of data, good level data. So this mix of low resources, focus on action over structure, data managed informally, lack of ownership or no ownership is a super mix that affects the capability of organizations to really activate a good data governance process. Organizations that want to move from this status, in my experience, are working on three main pillars. The pillars of clarity, if you want to match with the title of this meeting today. The first is roles, is the organizational structure, roles and responsibilities. I know this is probably not super trendy or cool, but this is an old, boring business, let's say. So it's very important to define who's really responsible for data governance and to leave people some room and some space and some authority to improve the processes. Every time, in every project we have been working on here in TechSoup Italy, every time there is, on the other side, on the organization side, there is one person who's really entitled to manage the data collection, sharing, leveraging process. Every time there is one person who is responsible for that, the outputs and the outcomes of the projects are incredibly higher than the situations where there is no a clear definition of roles and responsibility. And then the processes and the standards, second elements. So basically working on the way in which we collect data, we unify data, we clean data, and the standards we adopt. And then third pillar, the reason why we are collecting data. Till now, I have been referring mostly to, let's say, operational aspects, efficiency, okay, internal reasons. I'm a former chief operating officer, so that's my how my brain works, and I'm really attracted by those aspects. But of course, being capable of collecting relevant data about the context is pivotal to position the organization as a good, relevant stakeholder in the wider conversation that is going on around one specific topic, as well as to build those counter narratives we are super interested into, a narrative that is based on data and qualitative data and quite unique data is a much more powerful narrative. So these three elements, internal efficiency, external representation of the, and so attraction of interest from several stakeholders, and third, counter narratives engagement, are the three elements and the three purposes and three type of impact for which data are collected. So the three pillars are, in my opinion, these three. In order to get a higher and high level of clarity through data governance. First, roles and responsibilities. Second, processes and standards. Third, purpose and impact of data, why we are collecting data. Okay. I don't know, Marnie, if we can just focus on the three pillars. Maybe we have time to do that. I think so. Please help me with this. First pillar, roles. I mentioned to you the responsibility thing. But there are some simple but yet relevant things that can be done. First, trying to appoint a data steward. So someone who is responsible for data collection and data governance processes. Even if it's a part-time, even if it's a volunteer, even if it's a student, you know, the availability of let's say data scientists or data experts is increasing and increasing and increasing. So it's nowadays much more simpler than a few years ago to have such type of people. And you know, there is a model that is very powerful to do that. Simple but powerful. The RACI model, the RACI model, if you want to use an Italian expression. So who's responsible for data collection? Who's accountable for that? Who is consulted for that? And who is informed? Okay. If we try to answer these four questions, who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed, then it's very likely we will be capable to appoint a data steward. So first, clarity on roles. Second, clarity on processes. What data is collected and how? Okay. When I say how, I mean really simple, basic rules. Examples. Naming conventions. Okay. How do we appoint? This is extremely relevant for CRM and for donors management, but it's also true for a lot of other aspects of the organization. So having conventions, how do we name things? What is the dictionary, the name dictionary of our organization? Which taxonomies do we use? Okay. And in order to do that, we can create internal protocols, even super simple docs. This is something that, for example, we have been building here in TechSoup Italy, but that we do every day with other external organizations. We live and we create an onboarding manual, let's say, that help new people to understand how to properly name things and how to properly collect data. And then encourage data hygiene and consistency. You know, artificial intelligence today is a great, powerful tool that let us and help us to keep data clean and consistent. So it's extremely easier today to do that and cheaper and feasible. But once again, it's fundamental to have a process for that. So regular checkpoints and I will say committees, steering committees that help you and help organizations to do that. So first, clarity on processes, clarity on roles, and third, clarity on purpose. Why we are collecting data is for internal decisions, is to improve the management control of the organization and to make better management decisions, is to increase the awareness about the topic our organization is working on is to enlighten a specific topic. No matter the purpose must be clear. Collecting data just in case it's very it's very dangerous, because data without the purpose often are a waste of time, and so a waste of resources. um uh, I think this is I think that's all about what I know about data governance and its relationship with clarity and with organization impact increasing. Um, uh, just let me add a couple of thoughts. First, I see and I saw too many times over my career what happens when you have a lack in data governance, disconnected databases, data silos within the organization, incapability of the organization of making reason and to leverage data they have. Every time there is even just a small shift, a small step in appointing someone for data stewardship, in trying to formalize some processes and some standards. Every time there is just a small step ahead, the effects, the positive effects and the positive impact of those steps are incredible, just incredible. So it's really important, in my opinion, to start with this first steps. And the very interesting thing is that in order to make relevant progresses in data governance, you don't need big budgets anymore. You can start with simple but yet reliable and scalable solutions, low code, no code, AI-based tools, AI-based built internal software that can really make a difference in how people accept to use a solid, robust technology instead of not formalized approaches in process management, and because of this in management. So when this switch happen, the organization starts to touch with his hands the power of data. And when this happens, data governance starts, is an unstoppable process. And the effects on the clarity of who we are, why we do what we do, and how we do what we do is just increasing. So it's like a positive snowball effect that produces super relevant impacts.
This is great, Fabio. And I think the thing that's, super interesting to me is also when we combine it with yesterday's talk, like you were saying, the role of data governance and data retention also helps protect the organization and protect the data, because there's a role in that governance to making sure that the people and the things that are reflected in the data that you have are also being, well cared for from a stewardship and impact point of view, but also from, protecting them from harms, whether it's ensuring that your donors are not vulnerable because your systems are vulnerable, or whether it's having appropriate data retention policies so that you're removing old data from your database, maybe archiving it somewhere, but not necessary to hold it. I also think it's very interesting to think about increasingly the role that AI can have in helping you break your data silos
Yeah.
and to have better systems for organizing your data. I've been increasingly impressed at how I can throw AI at some of those data silos
Yeah.
and ask it to help me make sense of things. Of course, if I don't use, consistent data dictionaries or have consistent way of storing it, it can't do that. It can't make logic out of something that doesn't match, but it can make what can feel like a mess go so much faster.
Absolutely, Mary. We are experimenting a lot in TechSoup in general and in TechSoup Italy in specific, and I am amazed about this. I recently wrote a post in my LinkedIn profile about that. The speed through which AI is improving capability of making sense in data, even if they are not super well organized
Mhm.
nowadays, is just incredible. And I think that this is making much more accessible for many organizations the possibility of handling a proper data governance. This is why it's so relevant to appoint someone and to define processes, because there is no AI that can solve this.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's a lot about decision nowadays. You know, it's a strategic decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time and spending it with us today. And thank all of you for being here and participating in this. We have more tech talks to go. And we hope you'll join us for some of them. And Fabio, thank you very much.
That was my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for being here today.
And we will, to folks that are asking, we will be sharing the recordings. We're also doing short write-ups of the sessions that we'll be sharing as well.